How we doing, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always, Garrett Williams, and I am joined by a full cast of characters today. We've got my two usual co-hosts, of course. First, Kyle Henning. Kyle, how are you doing today, sir?
It's Super Bowl week finally. We've got
Yes.
the Eagles ahead of us, and so many different bowls, which we talked a little bit about last episode with Jason, but I'm sure we'll get into some more of here tonight because there's like 1,000 of them or whatever. So, no, man, Chiefs are in the Super Bowl for third time in 4 now.
4 years. It's crazy. It's a
3
crazy
out of
run.
5 AFC title games, hosted all 5. Go win this one.
That's pretty
Then you
good.
write the words that we've been talking about since they won the first one down.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Also joining us, of course, Arrowhead Tom. Tom, how are you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm doing great, man. Always happy to be here. Always happy to, talk ball with you guys. And it's the Super Bowl week. Can't wait for it to get here. Nervous, anxious, but fun to actually get into the matchups and all that. So excited to be here.
Excited to have you. And of course, we've got our special guest, our guy, host of the Kingdom Kast podcast, Country Boy 567. How we doing tonight, Country?
Ready to go to the Super Bowl. I'm tired of talking about it.
It
Well,
is
we
a
saved
big
this one
week.
for you. We saved this you for this episode for the recap for the Eagles. We've had some guests on all week. We got another one coming up later in the week. Actually, 2 more coming up later in the week. But
Ooh.
some different things. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Super Bowl preview. We pretty
The
much
country
know what
takeover.
right now. We don't, as long as barring any surprises on the injury front that we don't know of at the moment, everybody should be pretty much as expected. So, that all said, boys, let's do this first. What's the one matchup you're watching the most in this Super Bowl? We'll start
Mahomes versus the D-line.
Mahomes versus the D-line?
Yep.
Okay.
Care to elaborate?
If they can't contain, because every time Patrick Mahomes goes up against a number one defense, one of those great D-lines, oh my God, their front seven is immaculate and so fearful. And what happens?
Well, the last 4, I believe, he's shredded.
Exactly.
30
No,
plus.
it's the O-line, D-line. It's in the trenches, but it's Mahomes versus their D-line, basically.
Tom?
If they can't contain them, they're not going to win this game.
That's a tough one. I have some insight. I'm working on crunching some numbers live on the show. The D-line matchup is going to be important. I'm going to go. I don't know how the Eagles cover Travis Kelce. I don't know how anybody covers Travis Kelce, for the record, but I'm curious to see how they do that and then what that's going to mean for the rest of the wide receivers, who I hope some of them are more healthy than they have been. But I think that's going to be, it's going to be a game of the weapons on the outside and just how the passing game's going to look, especially as we just said, the D-line. But yeah, I'm going to go with Travis Kelce. I think that'll be obviously Kelce Bowl. We're watching that. So, but I think Travis Kelce could be an X factor.
Garrett?
Yeah, I'm going to go on the opposite side of the ball. I'm going to say the Eagles wide receivers versus the Chiefs cornerbacks. Specifically, obviously, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith going up against Trent McDuffie and, whoever else. L'Jarius Sneed should hopefully be back, but he might be working in the slot. So you might have, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams out there. Really a big test for the quote-unquote rookies, who obviously aren't really rookies anymore. They have a full season under their belt, and they're got to step up in the biggest game when it counts, because it's going to be there's some weapons on the other side.
According to them, they're no longer rookies. And also, don't forget Dallas Goedert
Exactly.
for that football team, because that dude will eat you if you're not paying attention. I think for me, it's on the same side of the ball as Garrett, and it involves a Kelce like Tom, but it's what Steve Spagnuolo and that defensive line can do to help make Jason Kelce not as big of a factor in this game. Because we know Lane Johnson is just being an absolute warrior right now. He's been open about what he's playing through. Jason Kelce does a lot for that Eagles offensive line. If they can help take him away to an extent and work on shutting down that run game and specifically not letting Jalen Hurts hurt them in the run game where they've had trouble with quarterbacks, that's a huge thing for me. And I think that as often as they try to neutralize Jason's impact on the play, the better off they'll be. And I know that sounds weird giving that much attention to a center, but with him helping to the guards both sides, and especially with Lane being hurt and Chris being what Chris is, Chris versus Jason and Lane and that group is going to be some eyeballs to watch, because if the Chiefs can control the running game, I think this game can get problematic for the Eagles in a hurry.
Is your goal to make Hurts one-dimensional?
Yes. Especially because I think that shoulder is bothering him more than anybody wants to talk about out loud.
Yeah, so I mean
that last game, his accuracy, that was not his best day. Let's say that.
Yeah, so I mean, did you think that it's more susceptible to him kind of going outside the pocket and making even scrambling? So you gotta, hope Willie Gay's fully healthy to help contain that, spy him, and really gotta have those linebackers stepping up and containing him and not letting him kind of run all over them up in the middle, because we saw that a little bit versus the Bengals. Obviously, Joe Burrow had a couple runs that, just kind of underestimating the opponent, and especially with, like you said, that shoulder of Jones not being 100%. They're gonna have to get a little bit more creative, and got to be prepared for him and his mobile legs. Obviously,
they have to tackle in the slot and in the flats and in the short game like they tackled against the Bengals. The Eagles eat in yards after catch in short game, and the same way that some of the same ways that the Bengals do, with Chase being a yak monster and the running back out of the backfield committee that they have there with that. So if we get the same tackling effort we got out of Justin Reed and Brian Cook and so on and so forth in the corners and everybody in that portion of the game, this game tightens up a lot for Philadelphia if Jalen's shoulder is not right.
Is Hurts on par with 19 Lamar Jackson?
I'm not ready to go there yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it that.
Okay, so what, level 2 down, or
19 was something we've not seen from a quarterback before in that space. He's and also when how you watch Patrick and then you watch other quarterbacks that try to do things similar and you go, that just looks different. It's the same conversation with Lamar and Jalen, and that's no shot to Jalen. Lamar is just an alien, man. Like,
yeah, Lamar really is just different.
With the football, that dude is ridiculous.
So you would go healthy Lamar over Jalen Hurts, arm and legs?
The arms, I think Jalen's probably got a little better arm accuracy wise anyway. I don't know if it's much better, but it's close. I just think Lamar's special on the ground with what he brings dynamically. And Jalen's no slouch in that category, but Lamar, man, it just looks different. It's not the same thing. So
I agree, on the ground, much different. I think Jalen is a substantial. I think Jalen is in a position to be.
Jalen Hurts now, or Jalen Hurts fully healthy? Because Jalen Hurts now is not the same accuracy level as Jalen Hurts healthy.
I think
Jalen healthy is a much more accurate passer than he currently is because of his injury.
I think that regardless, like, Jalen Hurts is in a better position to be successful as a passer than Lamar Jackson has ever been put in. And I think his offense is more tailored to him in that sense. So it's kind of hard to say. In terms of 19, Lamar Jackson, he was.
What's your favorite version of Lamar though? Okay, what's the most dangerous version of Lamar? Was it 19?
I don't think
the MVP year, right?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it though. I mean, like, just because he hasn't been, like, his passing weapons have always been pretty garbage, and his offensive coordinator doesn't like tailor the plays to him, right? It's like he had two speeds. It's always been, we're going to do a designed run, or we're going to ask you to drop back and pass. It's like, well, where are some of those plays where you get a moving pocket, or you roll him out, or you do some some of the motion stuff that you see, that their offense, like, and I think that's the biggest one, like, plays that, like, a lot of Ravens fans have, is like the offense should be doing a lot better. I think Lamar Jackson can be a good passer. I just don't think he's been in a position, like, I don't think they trust him. I don't think they trust him to make the routine throws like the Eagles have trusted Jalen Hurts to. I don't think it's that Lamar can't do it. I think that for whatever reason, the Ravens aren't putting him in that position.
They
So
built that offense to that rudimentary style of they were going to build it to that running gun because he's dominant in its style where they weren't going to really throw it much. And then he went and won an MVP with it. And instead of trying to advance and improve and adopt and expand that offense and add a passing game to it that's a little bit of a dynamic weapon and do some of the movement pocket stuff, they said, oh, he won an MVP with it. And we went deep. We should probably just do that again and again and see if it works. And it hasn't.
Because I bring all that to say I'm trying to compare what we're facing. Like, have we seen this type of guy before?
This season?
Not this season.
I mean, they saw him last year.
We've encountered Lamar before.
They saw Jalen Hurts.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I brought up Lamar, because we faced Lamar.
Like I said, I think from a leg standpoint, he's less dynamic, but I think he's a more accurate and better thrower of the football. I still think he's a little bit better than him, even with the Lamar right now, even with the shoulder. I don't know that the gap is as large, like Tom was saying. If he's fully healthy, that gap's bigger, but he's not fully healthy right now, so it's a little smaller for me. But I think that's probably the closest comp you're going to get for Jalen. And he was having a really good year and was in the MVP conversation-ish.
He was.
As much as everybody else in the conversation-ish.
Yeah.
So, he's been fine. I'm interested to see what Sirianni and co come up with if that shoulder is not operating at a level that they're comfortable with him throwing down the field routinely.
Yeah, and obviously the D-line, having to step up and kind of contain a quarterback like that, having a past couple of games where you're not really facing a mobile quarterback like that, all of a sudden you're trying to contain him and actually get your hands on him in the backfield. Like, that's going to be huge.
Easy on the Trevor hate. That boy can move. He just doesn't look like he can because he's 6'6".
Trevor's huge, though. That's the thing. Jalen's kind of
Josh Allen's not small and he can move.
Well, yeah, but they're different kind of running styles and elusiveness to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is elusive kind of thing, where Josh Allen kind of just run through you and then over you.
And Trevor runs like a deer.
Exactly. So it's, got to have a lot more athleticism in the trenches there to contain him.
What would you compare this front seven to that we've seen this year? Let's stick with this year, because who would you compare it to? I was thinking maybe Tampa Bay when we played them week 5 when they were still kind of good.
On the other side of the ball now.
Okay, so we're happy with our defense. Yeah.
Oh, we're still on. Okay, my bad. I'm switching. You know what? This is the country takeover, bro. This is the country takeover. I'm taking it up.
No, but I like this thought though, because defensive side, Philadelphia, obviously the number 1 defense in the league. We faced the 49ers earlier in the year, who were number 2. So that's a little bit comparable. We put 40 up on them.
And how many number 1 defenses have we faced this year?
Yeah, and I believe Mahomes' stats versus the number 1 defenses are insane. Like, I saw a stat on Twitter versus top 5 defenses, passing defenses. I think he's far and beyond the highest EPA of anybody.
Have you seen his versus the NFC period stats? Those are insane.
Yes, I have seen those. Yeah,
it's like 400 yards, no interceptions.
Here you go, Garrett.
Yeah, the 5 NFC opponents that we've had absolutely lit them up. Yeah.
From Aaron Schatz, Mahomes versus top 12 pass defenses in 8 games, 32% DVOA, 24% without adjustment. Mahomes versus other pass defenses, 23.1% DVOA, 30.2% without adjustment. So in other words, he plays better against better defenses.
That's
okay.
That's pretty crazy.
I am done crunching my numbers.
Okay.
Share some insight.
Long enough.
I'm sorry. All right, gentlemen. How many top 10 pass blocking teams do the Eagles play this year?
Ooh. 1.
Ballpark 2. Yeah.
I want to say 1.
3.
What, Dallas? Dallas?
Nope. Dallas is ranked 28th.
Oh.
The Commanders are 27th.
Oh.
The Giants are 29th. Those are their division opponents.
Ooh.
That's 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did they play?
So they played 3 teams.
The Jags?
played
They
three
played
teams.
3 teams who are in the top 10. So they played the Bears, who are ranked second, and only because Justin Fields can run away from everybody. The Packers, who were ranked fifth, and the Steelers, who were ranked seventh.
And didn't they get that Packers line when it was late and they were broken?
They had them late. So
November
collectively,
27th. Yeah.
so they had 6 sacks against the Bears. That was also late in the season. The other 2 games, they had 5 sacks total. 3 against the Packers, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at my numbers wrong. They had 6 against the Steelers, 3 against the Packers. So
when did they play the Steelers?
Middle of November.
Oh, okay, October. I see it.
Who's the quarterback, Pickett or Trubisky?
That's a good question.
October 30th. So probably would have been.
Probably Pickett, right?
Yeah, probably. I say all that just to say, and it could be a chicken, but like within their own division, they had they just had easy games. They finished the year with 2 7-game sacks, and then their sacks went 6, 6, 7, 7, and those teams were, other than the Bears, which at that point they had given up. They played the 29th, the 17th, the 28th. The second, which is the Bears, the 29th and the 26th ranked pass blocking teams to finish the season. They got
what? Remind me, Tom.
Number 1,
and if I remember right, not really
by a pretty substantial margin. So I'm not saying that you don't have to respect them, but we need to add a little bit of context here in terms of when you talk about the pass blocking and the, because like within their own division, they got to see 3 bottom 5 teams twice. And in those games, and in one of those games, they put 9 sacks up against the Commanders. 9. 5 against the Giants. Another 3 against the Commanders, another 2 against the Giants, and then 6 against the Cowboys.
Did their defense get fat? And I think that our defense did it too. Got fat against inferior teams down the stretch.
On the sack totals, probably, because they were up in games and they were pinning their ears back and crushing teams.
Yeah.
And then that last 2 weeks, they were playing without Hurt, so the defense had to be otherworldly if they wanted to.
I would say their last month, like I said, those last 4 games of the regular season, 6, 6, 7, and 7.
Yeah.
Who is the closest to Mahomes that they face?
Right.
Nobody.
Like quarterback. Have they even played any comparable quarterbacks? Maybe.
No.
I can read you off their schedule if you want. I mean, nobody compares to Patrick Mahomes.
You don't even need to. The top
just
quarterback,
looking at it.
The top quarterbacks are Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence, and Dak.
I mean, they did play Aaron Rodgers, but we're talking about the ghost of Aaron Rodgers. Dak is probably
late, and they beat the crap out of him because his line was hurt, and they still only won by 7.
Yeah, Dak is probably honestly the best quarterback on that list at the Cowboys.
Here's my question to you guys. Does everybody remember week 4 last year when we went into the Philly game and everybody, because it was like the first real test for this offensive line's first big thing together kind of deal, and they went out and did what to that defensive line?
Absolutely killed them.
Yeah, they mauled them. Like, look, I'm not in remotely any way discounting or discrediting Fletcher Cox or any of they've added pieces. And Ndamukong Suh, I believe, is there now.
Yeah, they've Hassan Reddick is there, isn't there?
In who?
Hassan Reddick, is that?
Yeah, Hassan Reddick is there.
Hassan Reddick is a dog.
He's really good.
Jordan Davis exists, so I know he's.
I forgot they have Jordan Davis.
They got Robert Quinn out of Chicago for packing peanuts. So they've got.
I mean, they're no slouches for sure.
They've got some guys, but they had a lot of those same pieces.
I say
not all that long ago, and it looked pretty one-sided.
And on the opposite side, obviously, the Chiefs have gone up against some pretty decent defensive lines recently and done a pretty good job.
Yeah, they've not struggled at all in the pass game, and while they haven't been anything to talk about remotely in the run game, they haven't tried it much, and B, when they have, they're not losing yards, they're just not winning big. So it's more of a they don't run it enough to hit the home runs often enough to make the averages go bonkers than it is the offensive line not winning their snaps necessarily.
If you can contain Reddick, you pretty much right. Is that disrespectful to say? If you
Yeah, I
can
think as long
contain
as you're
Reddick,
not,
you pretty much won this game.
as
I
long
think
as you're
that's
not
going to be the
losing
most.
inside,
I'm about to
I
say,
don't
well,
think you have a problem.
I think that's probably the most vulnerable matchup, right? Reddick versus Orlando Brown, because I feel like, I mean, obviously the interior offensive line is pretty stout.
Well,
Like,
and I don't know. They may switch Robert Quinn and Hassan Reddick
right.
back and forth.
Either way, the
Well,
tackles,
I,
both are kind of more vulnerable than. I'm not worried about the interior O-line.
Javon Hargrave's a dude. Josh Sweat is a good cleanup guy. The other issue is, like you guys were just talking about, they are so deep.
Yeah,
They've got 6
They are
guys
very deep.
who would start on at
Oh, yeah.
defensive tackle, right,
Mhm.
for most teams. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, and Dominican Sue, Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Linval Joseph. Those
yeah. I
are
didn't even
6
mention
starters.
Linval. Linval's been there forever and been nothing but a
6
rock.
starters on the middle, and then they've got Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, and Robert Quinn, just as their front, and then they mix Hassan Reddick in as a pass rusher, right? He's like a nickel third down guy, and they pin his ears back and go.
And Brandon Graham is just a ball of hate when he's on
Yeah.
the field. That dude's just angry as hell all the time, ready to tear stuff up.
Yeah. So again, I think that front seven is an issue, but they also haven't played an offensive line of the caliber of the Chiefs. And that's something I think we should talk about. I'm going to give him his flowers. Andrew Wiley, last month of the season, last month and a half, we haven't talked about him at all, and that's a good thing for Andrew Wiley.
If we don't say your name, be happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and even to a degree, the same with Orlando Brown. I think Orlando Brown, like whenever he does make a mistake, he's pretty quick to get, crucified. But yeah, it's
He's been pretty good too.
They both.
If you look from Orlando from week 10 basically forward, he's been
since the Bengals game, right? The Bengals game was the last bad game that O-line had.
Yeah. So yeah.
And wait a minute, wasn't that the game they lost Tooney before the game started?
Yeah, he wasn't in that game.
Yeah.
Which we talked about hurts Orlando and hurts Creed because
that's a big hurt.
You lose your inside anchor and any kind of help. And it's not like I said, no knock against Allegretti, but there's a reason you made Joe Tooney the highest paid guard in football.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it comes down to Mahomes getting the ball out quick, making his reads.
I think it comes down to Mahomes determining exactly how healthy he is and basing that entirely off what he does next. Because I'll tell you right now, he had a week to get that thing ready for Cincinnati, and he only had one trick to pull out of the bag at the end for the run.
Yeah.
He's got 2 weeks, and that's farther along into that process. As long as he didn't do too much to it to strain it too much else during that game, he could be 85, 99. You're not getting back to 100 with a high ankle in the same season. We've already talked about that. Harrison Butker, other players, it's just not really going to happen. Now, again, he's not the same human as anyone else, and we keep saying things aren't possible, and then he does them. So I won't tell you he can't. Actually, maybe I should tell you he can't get healthy fully by the Super Bowl. Maybe
he might. Who knows?
You want to clip that, Garrett?
Who
Patrick
really
Mahomes can't get healthy by the Super Bowl, and then just send it to the Chiefs and see if that'll work. No, it's just I'd take him at. We just watched him on one leg be better than the guy that was supposed to be ending his legacy if he lost to them.
I mean, he was better than everybody in the.
If he's better than that dude on one leg, him on 1 3/4 legs, I will take over anybody in the league, including him on one leg. So, I feel pretty good with that. Like I said, it's more about what Andy does with the scheme of the offensive line to affect that defensive line and how and their ability to attack, and then go from there for that.
Well, and I want to say this. Oh, go ahead, Country.
I was going to say, who's going to come with the over my dead body game? I think it's 87. Now, you might be able to get to Pat, but I don't think you're going to stop. I don't think you're going to stop Travis. I think he's going to come fired up. I think he's going to want to win this game. Every time we've seen him go against Philadelphia, when he's jumping out from the 5-yard line. We forgot about what he's done to Philadelphia in recent times. These are not far-whack games.
Are you saying that Jason Kelsey playing center for the Eagles is directly responsible for Travis Kelsey trying to absolutely eviscerate their entire defense every time he plays them? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah. Yeah. Because every time they played, it's been last time Tyreek really went off. And I'm really trying to don't officially put McCall on IR. Just sneak Tyreek in there and put him in a 17 jersey.
They won't even notice.
Just I know he's in Arizona.
I think they'll notice. I don't know
the way the people in charge of these games.
Oh no! I don't want to talk about Carl Sheffers. I don't want to do it.
No,
listen, I think obviously, like Country just alluded to, though, Mecole Hardman getting put on IR is a big news story that happened this weekend, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire also activated off the IR. But injuries are going to definitely be a thing to watch for this week because there's a lot of guys on offense that are going to be questionable. You have Kadarius Toney, Juju, MVS was healthy, so you don't have to worry about him. But obviously having
healthy and happy,
having Clyde back, you might have even a little more, just options as far as the pass game in case a couple more guys go down. But we're gonna have to definitely monitor, especially Kadarius Toney and Juju.
I think that means Justin Watson's probably back up.
Yeah, he's probably getting back up.
What are you gonna do? Are you activating Blake Bell?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably active as
well. I think he's gonna have to play in this game.
Yeah.
He might have to help Wiley out.
I think they're not going to take their chances after last week. They're not going to take their chances. They're going to activate all the skill positions they have.
I think you need him if you're planning on using the run game or need to fall back on the run game at all. You have to have Blake because of what he can do from the H back, from the inline, from any of those positions. He's a different animal when it's blocking time.
And also, we haven't talked about, but obviously it's being played in Arizona. We know how that field is. We encountered it in week 1. So that's,
It's not the same field, though.
Hold on. Now, they flew in.
Is it a different field?
Oh, yeah.
They flew in a new field?
No. They flew in a new grounds crew. They flew in the Super Bowl grounds team.
Okay.
On part of that Super Bowl grounds team is part of the Chiefs organization's grounds team.
Tuma, right? What's his name? Tuma.
Out there
Travis.
It's that dude is a Chiefs legend. If you're not familiar, you should go look that man up. He's been putting those fields together for the Chiefs for his whole life, basically. So,
what's his name? It's Tuma, right?
Yeah. Let me pull his. I'll make sure
Travis Hogan
or something like that.
It's Travis Hogan.
Travis Hogan.
No, not Travis.
Okay.
You're talking about Travis's tweet, but it's not Travis who I'm looking for here, bud. It's George Tuma.
George Tuma.
George.
Okay.
Shout out George. Hopefully that field will be in better condition for our guys.
The legend. Yeah, he's not gonna have that field.
Yeah. Even so, though, you don't want to take your chances, and obviously a lot of them aren't gonna be playing at 100% anyways. So you never know if another Kadarius Toney random cut just gets him out for the game. So.
And it's not like they're coming off a preseason game or they haven't played in a month, right?
Right.
When's the last time they touched that field? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that is true.
I'm not worried about the field as much because
they're supposed to put a whole new field in it, basically. So
yeah, he was actually standing on the field in the tweet, right?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
He was.
There's a field that they're standing on that's out front. It's like a decorative field, I think, and then
no, that's the field that.
There's an actual picture of them in the end zone working on the end zones too. There's a couple pictures floating around of them out there working on stuff.
Arizona, that's the field that it walks outside, and they can move it from inside to outside. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Yeah, that they keep it outside and then they can move it inside. And
I didn't realize that was a movable.
Yeah, that's the one that it walks. It just you can pick it up and just walk it outside. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, so here's my take on Clyde. I think last week, everybody that needed to have a redemption story, everybody that needed to be redeemed for this season was redeemed in the last game. That goes for MVS, Butker, Sky, Josh Williams. All those guys were redeemed.
There's like 10 more. There's like 10 more, but yeah.
Yeah. So How fitting would it be for Clyde to redeem himself during the biggest game
I
of
think
his
he's going to
career?
have to do it on very limited touches if he's going to redeem himself because
Or there's gonna have to be some injuries.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
Preferably not. Like I said, man, Andy's just notorious for not playing dudes coming off of injuries, a ton of snaps, and the other problem is he's at least third on the pecking order right now because Pacheco and McKinnon they've earned the snaps at this point. They have.
Yeah.
And Pacheco's
Would you double running back with McKinnon and Clyde back there? I'm talking strictly red zone.
For what? What are you using Clyde for in that instance? Because McKinnon's probably your pass
In the
block.
red zone.
Yeah, but are you running a route with Clyde there, or are you running the RPO with him there for those shovels? Because I don't like him.
Yeah.
I don't like him out in space on anything other than a linebacker, and I don't want him running up the middle necessarily unless the O-line is just creating craters.
I think likely Clyde will probably be a reserve. I think he'll probably
I
suit
just
up.
don't think there's going to be enough time to put him on. I don't think there's enough time for him to get conditioned and cardio back from being gone for as
Yeah,
long as
because he
he's
has
gone
been.
to
That
be
is
in
true.
game shape.
I mean,
He
he
hasn't
might
hit
get a couple
in
snaps.
months.
He's been practicing for like 4 weeks.
Country, he hasn't been hit in 2 months.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm just asking.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
just
just
asking.
asking questions. We're asking
he hasn't taken a game hit in 2 months. At
Listen,
least,
he'll probably
right?
take Rojo's snaps, and that's about maybe
He
a
got
little
what?
bit more
Right,
than that.
like-
One in the
like-
first half of
yeah.
the last game.
You can take a
Everybody
couple
says
Rojo.
everybody goes into this heart attack about, oh my God, he's gonna take Pacheco's snaps. Well, Ronald Jones got one
Rojo.
snap. Like, what's the?
Yeah.
I don't get the big deal.
Also, I don't know how many snaps you can take from Pacheco. What did he get? 11 touches that game?
Yeah,
or
they
less?
kind of went away from him in the run
Pacheco
game at
didn't
least.
have a
Well,
good.
it's not
He
like they
didn't
gave
have
the
a. He didn't have
McKinnon
a.
anymore.
Well, they were using him in the pass game more. He had like 87 total yards. I mean, it wasn't a bad game.
Yeah, well, a lot of that came on him running a dude over and skirting down the sideline in one game, and then the next game was one big reception also on a screen pass, I think, that took it 40 yards or whatnot.
Yeah, he had a couple good passes, but yeah,
So
he's
I mean,
not as
you gotta
did.
get some plays with him. That's what he does. That's why he's got those wheels.
Just I think the O-line run blocking hasn't been as up to par as the pass blocking has been, but I think they're gonna figure it out. They have obviously 2 weeks to practice that, and
I'm gonna let y'all in on the secret.
No.
I'm gonna let y'all in on the secret.
I have to
Everybody
break it to
lean
you.
close.
Hate to break it to
Everybody
you, country.
lean close.
I hate to break it to you, country. This isn't a secret. It'll be a secret for long, but
They're not gonna run the ball that much.
It's a good secret.
I don't know. 25 carry,
Don't-
200-yard game coming from
Don't
Isaiah
tell
Pacheco.
anybody. Don't let
put it-
this
I
out.
think I
Put
don't
it
know.
down. Take it
It
to
might
I
Vegas.
know a lot of people watch this show, but
I
don't
might bet
let that out.
Pacheco over 100 yards. I might bet it right now.
Over 200. He's
200.
gonna have a Damian Williams MVP snub Super Bowl game.
So we can.
That's
listen
what I was
to
just
everybody
about to
talk
ask.
about how Pat ended up with it anyway.
I was kidding. Can I? We're talking about matchups that are going to matter.
Yeah.
Can I? One of the most important aspects of this game, and we talked about him last episode. Steve Spagnuolo had a master class against the Bengals. He brings another game like that. We're going to give the Eagles fits because as much as I do respect the Eagles offense, and they've got some really good pieces, their receivers are underrated in my book, even though they're pretty good and all that stuff with Jalen Hurts. I will just say this. I think a lot of their offense is based on like routine and timing and structure, right? And when you talk about getting somebody off, like if you get that offense off schedule, I think that's where they're going to struggle. And so, again, the advantage there is, you push Patrick Mahomes out of the pocket, he's probably going to make a play he shouldn't make. I think you do that to Jalen Hurts, and you're not going to see that same playmaking ability. So, not to say that he can't do it or whatever, but I think that if you can mess with him that way, I think if Steve Spagnuolo has another game plan like he did against the Bengals, this is going to be a good game for Kansas City. So I just
Okay, Tom, I got 2 questions, Tom. Watson or Williams, and who you matching up
Ooh.
receiver wise?
borrowing the information that
We
Tom
we
shared
we
with us a
we're
little bit
we're,
ago?
we're banking on
okay.
a healthy Snead. We're banking on a
Yeah,
healthy
well,
Snead in this
Snead is
scenario.
glad you brought that up because breaking news to us on the podcast. This happened just literally about 10 minutes before we started. Well, about 4 minutes before we started recording. James Palmer's reported that Snead has cleared concussion protocol, so we should have L'Jarius Snead for the game. So,
There's no way he was missing the Super Bowl.
Snead.
so
Hey, man,
here's
the
what
only
I'm
thing
doing.
that scared me about that is because it's not in the team's hands. It's in the independent neurologist's hands.
Yeah. So I'm putting Trent McDuffie on Devontae Smith, and that's going to be a fun matchup.
That's a dogfight right there.
Yeah, that's gonna be a
That's a
technical
couple of
battle.
young fellas too. Devontae's only been in the league a year.
So, and then I think you let L'Jarius play on AJ Brown, and I know and I think you can occasionally switch him around. You can move him around a little bit if either if Watson or Williams wants to go outside with Brown, and you want to bring like Snead on the inside. They've got a third receiver. What's his name? Watkins.
Quez Watkins.
Quez Watkins. That dude's fast. So you don't want him to get out, over top of you. So I think I'd put Watson in that matchup just because I think Watson's a little quicker than Williams, unless you think you can jam the crap out of Watson with Williams. I am personally a bigger fan of Joshua Williams. I just think the upside is higher. I think right now, Jalen Watson, I mean, they're both really promising.
Like pretty good.
Yeah, I got a wealth of witches. I can't talk bad about either one, especially when Watson had that insane interception last week. Like I can't.
Jalen Watson, he's been doing it with a broken hand, and he has a 99er against Herbert, and he sealed the game last week.
Yeah, I think Watson will see more snaps, but I'm comfortable, again rotating those guys in, and that lets you do what you enjoy best with L'Jarius Snead, where you can have him blitzing, you can rotate him around, like. That's where you have, that potential. So, but yeah, I think that Trent McDuffie on Devontae Smith is a key matchup there because I think that's about as even as you're going to get, like 1-to-1 in terms of CB and corner or wide receiver in this matchup. And then AJ Brown's you're going to have to give him a little extra attention. Shadow, Thornhill or Cook. I would almost rather have Cook over there because I think Cook is a more physical player, even if he gets those flags. And you gotta hit AJ Brown. I'm talking about the yak. So that's how I play it.
I'm putting Reed on Dallas most of the night.
I think I'm putting Reed and somebody else to an extent at least shading that way, whether that be Bolton, whether that be Gay, Darius Harris, whatever extra DB if Williams is on the field, whatever. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even be opposed in, like I said, in those dime and nickel looks if you run Cook and Williams on the field as that extra secondary look.
Brian Cook.
Make sure that you don't have
huge X factor for this game.
I need that effort that he gave against Darren Waller, and I know Darren Waller isn't right now. He's not playing like that, but he is a very capable tight end.
Don't get it twisted. He's a dude at tight end. He had a down year this year, but the Raiders had a down year this year. So
yeah. So ranking up, how do you stack Philadelphia's wide receiver core to Cincinnati's?
Cincinnati's tough to stack anybody's wide receiver core against this year. They got 3 dudes.
Yeah.
What about Jacksonville? Jacksonville had 2. I know they're above Jacksonville's
wide receiver group.
Yeah, I'd say they're above Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'd say better than Jacksonville.
They're like in the middle.
Yeah. I would take Jamar Chase over AJ Brown, but I would take AJ Brown over T. Higgins, and then I would take T. Higgins over Devontae Smith, but I would take Devontae Smith over Tyler Boyd. So somebody out there write that down.
Do
the math. Yeah, write that.
Yeah.
Carry the 3.
My mind just blew. What?
Trying to add that up.
So okay, let's go over this. I would take
Jamar Chase. The Eagles 1 and 2 over the Eagles 1 and 2, and
I would take the.
Can we make a Venn diagram?
Yes,
Tom, you just said Jamar Chase over AJ Brown. Yes.
Yes.
That's Bengals 1 over Eagles 1. Correct.
And then I would take AJ Brown over
T. Higgins over Devontae Smith.
No, I would take.
I know. I heard that part. Hold on.
Yeah, you're right. You're
confusing people. Hold on. You then said you would take T. Higgins over Devontae Smith, right?
Yes, but not over
It's
AJ Brown.
Bengals 1 and 2 over Eagles 1 and 2. But you would take Eagles 1 over Bengals 2 and Eagles 2 over Bengals 3.
Yeah.
Because Tyler Boyd is Bengals 3.
Carry the 3.
Yeah.
So
multiply it by 2.
That's pretty
the
close.
Bengals wide receiver core is better.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, that's what I said. In a really
Wait
long
a minute. What?
Is there any fraction? Is there an exponent in there?
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
We got
He said
to
he'll
do what's
take
in the
their-
parentheses
he would
first.
take-
So
Jamar Chase
He
over
said-
AJ Brown.
Okay, so they canceled
PEMDAS
out
country.
AJ Brown,
PEMDAS.
Higgins
Just
over
remember
Devontae
PEMDAS.
Smith.
and then he would take Higgins over Smith.
Yes.
So he just canceled out the Eagles wide
That's
receiver.
what I said.
Yeah. So
he
I,
just-
what I
Oh,
said
okay, I
was
thought you
canceled
said
it
something
out.
else.
what I said was the
One-
Bengals are better. The
Order
Bengals
of
have a
operations,
much
people.
better
We
Yeah.
have to
roster.
remember
Better than
the
Cincy's
order of
2 for some
operations.
reason. I don't know.
1 through
Order of
3,
operations.
the Bengals have
He
better.
felt like
receivers.
telling you that AJ Brown was better than T. Higgins for information when T. Higgins is a free agent on another team being a number 1 next year, I guess.
Okay,
Just
okay.
spoiler
Let
alert.
me throw a curveball in there. What would you put Christian Kirk in that group?
6th.
Is he
At the
beating
bottom.
anybody
Yeah,
out
the other
in
was
that
At
average.
group?
the bottom. At the bottom.
I'd take Christian Kirk over Tyler Boyd.
No, I'm good. I'm out on that one.
Chris Kirk got a good year, man. He had a good year. He was killing us for a
Also,
little bit.
1 year with Trevor Lawrence. I'm good.
Yeah.
I say that because Tyler Boyd's got some injury issues, and I think he's not as consistent, and he's a little older.
Christian Kirk was an invisible man in Arizona for 4 years, got like no love, couldn't catch a ball from Kyler Murray, couldn't find time on the field, couldn't do nothing squat, was very
So I knew who Christian Kirk was coming out of the draft, so
I'm very aware what he was out of the
Texas
draft.
A&M,
I
right?
drafted him in fantasy as a rookie and paid for it for 4 years. The dude is an absolute ghost for 4 seasons. Let me see more than 6 months of
he
play
had
with
a
the top
900-yard season in Arizona. What are you talking about? How do you think he got paid? He had a 900-yard season in Arizona.
Yes.
It was like a 998-yard
last
season.
one, because the entire wide receiver core got hurt and they had no one else to throw it to. Trust
Well,
me, I waited until the end of the year to get any points out of him. I know.
I feel like we're exaggerating now.
No.
700 yards, 600 yards, 900 yards.
I don't know where we've gone quite.
You
quite
pay
gone
you
with
pay
this.
500 and 600. Okay, Tom, you just read off basically McCole Hardman stats. 22 million.
I thought it was 17.
No, that's after they do the funny money. That's the 18 is the real money. The 22 is the one they talk about.
I don't know.
22 million for that?
I like Christian Kirk more as a prospect. So
Yeah.
So basically, what we're saying is Eagles wide receiver core less than the Bengals wide receiver core.
Yes.
Quarterback more or less deadly than Joe Burrow, do we think?
Right now, less.
Less.
Okay.
yeah.
So then we have to deal with a lesser threat at quarterback and lesser threat at receivers.
Because
Correct.
can Jalen Hurts make that throw to T. Higgins in the
No.
end zone?
Not
No.
right now. You can't. No.
Or
Maybe not
that
even
fourth
ever.
and what was it, 4th and 16?
Not
Was
with
it?
Joe Burrow.
No, 4th and 6. Can he make that
Joe Burrow's
throw?
got some elite accuracy. Now he can't escape the pocket like Jalen can. He was a little. I mean, he was very nervous. He was very nervous.
We make Joe Burrow look like he can sometimes, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean, we have in the
What happens
past
when
for
you
sure.
wide set all
This
pass
game,
rush
though-
and everybody drops into man coverage and no one looks at the quarterback and he gets
Yeah,
to run.
but this past game
Yeah,
though
yeah.
got him rattled. Obviously, I think that was very evident that we got him rattled.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's all
Tom
about
Davis
keeping his
stat on
composure.
Burrow, 5 sacks equals a W.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Is there
I
is there a
told
stat?
you.
Is
You
there any
did
kind of
say
stat
that.
like that for Jalen?
I haven't crunched any numbers on it like that, but
That's okay.
I will say
sure
this:
it's-
that offensive line for Philadelphia, much different.
Much
piece.
better. Yeah.
Much
I
better.
mean,
So
they're
even
still
with-
dealing with a little bit with injuries, but not to the extent
I
that
tell you what,
Cincinnati was.
Kelsey said she wanted an offensive game. She might get an offensive game because I don't know if
It
either
might be a little bit of a shootout.
are going to get anywhere.
They got
It
that
was
offense for Philly scares
wasn't
me
it a
with the run
shootout the
game.
last 2 times we played?
Yeah, it was a pretty. It was like
It was
70.
like 47,
I want to say
30 last time.
I want to say the last time we played, we got up on them, and then they kind of got some garbage numbers. But
Yeah,
regardless, it was still they still got at least something on our defense.
It was last year, right?
And
Yeah.
that was one of the games where it was
42-30.
like
So 42-30, and then
I remember
we
that was a
haven't
really
played
good
them
game
since
from Pat.
5 touchdowns from Pat.
Yeah, that was a really
So-
good game
That
from
was the
Pat.
fight.
It was 7-10. Yeah, it was 7-10 at the end of the first, 21-13 at half, 28-16 at the end of the third, and it finished 42-30. So
and this is one of those they're oh my god, they're dropping 8 games, right?
yeah,
Yeah, most likely, and then you're going with the dump off option, which honestly it was kind of interesting versus the Bengals. You didn't really see that a lot. He wasn't really checking down a whole lot. He was just kind of making.
I don't know that
things
Philadelphia will try that again. Not only based on the success they didn't necessarily have with it, but based on the success that the Bengals just did not have with it. And I think Buffalo tried it too, and it didn't work there either.
Yeah.
So
I will say in that matchup, Philadelphia only had 1 sack.
Yeah.
And 4 quarterback hits.
So, again, they've added a little bit to that D-line, but I think the matchup that's most intriguing and most determinant of kind of what Tom said on the offensive side of the ball, outside of what I mentioned. Look, who's covered Travis Kelce?
Yeah, what did Tyreek and Travis do in that game?
So Travis was 4 for 23, but Tyreek was 11 for 186 and 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
So
Travis
didn't have to do a whole lot, and that was also Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 14 carries for 102 yards. They ran the ball. They ran the ball 32 times for 200 yards. It was a very balanced performance.
They were also up and running them over. The game was never within 2 scores, I don't think.
Don't you? Hey, listen, Darrell Williams was 10 for 42, and McCole was 2 for 25. Michael Burton got a carry in this game for 5 yards. So maybe we'll see that. But
look,
so is it out of the realm to say that Clyde might redeem himself this game? Let's go back to that.
It's true, and Pat might throw 8 touchdowns, but he
might.
Are we talking Vegas odds, or are we talking? I don't see it, but
I mean, also we have to consider the fact. I mean, we have to consider the fact that obviously there's only weird games that are being played by the Chiefs. Like, if we expect this game to go anything according to plan, we'd probably be lying to ourselves because it's always something.
I will say they passed a lot.
Tom, I want you to look up Andy Reid versus the NFC record all time, because I think it's very remarkable.
It's broken.
And his record against assistants or former or his coaching tree too. Because Sirianni's he's not one of his guys though, is he?
No.
Hold on.
He's a Ty Haley guy.
Time out. Andy did not retain him after the 2012 season.
Exactly.
Oh, so he's got a little bit of anger.
I think that's very overplayed. I mean, they were 2-14 when he got. Come on, how can you be angry about being let go when you're 2-14?
I asked the Travis Kelce question.
Coach.
I'm going to read you.
Obviously, they're not going to retain you. Anyways, go on.
You tell me, out of Kaiser White, T.J. Edwards, James Bradbury, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, and Darius Slay, which one of those, or a combination of those, is taking Travis Kelce away?
They're going to try Gardner-Johnson.
Okay, I was going to ask that because let's pull up the Saints game because didn't he run up? Didn't he?
He was a Saint beforehand. Yeah. No,
I don't remember him.
I kind of remember him not being able to stop Travis then.
I do remember that similar.
I didn't say that. I said that they're going to try it. But
there's no way on earth I'm single covering Travis Kelce with Gardner Johnson. I'm sorry. Because by the time the second quarter is over, Gardner might get ejected for losing his mind for not being able to do anything about Travis getting mad and just stomping off on somebody.
So who's your MVS this game? Is it MVS again, or do you see somebody else stepping up?
It might be MVS again.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Nobody expected that from MVS.
If Juju's healthy and plays in this game, I think this is Juju's game. This is the game he waited for.
I thought Juju's game was going to be last game, but then he got injured. So, yeah.
I think this is his game. This is the game that Juju came here for. He said clearly last year when Andy tried to recruit him, he sent me a picture of the championship ring and said, "Why don't I come get one of those with him?" Well, that's why he's here. He took a 1-year deal with some incentives, y'all, that he definitely could have got paid more elsewhere.
Yeah, this is definitely his ultimate goal.
Didn't he reach all the incentives except?
Oh yeah, 1 year, $6 million with incentives to 9 or whatever it was, or 7 with incentives to 10. I can't remember what it was.
I think it was 6.
Didn't he reach that? He got all his incentives.
That's my point. Country is like you're telling me that Juju on the open market couldn't demand 3 years or even MVS 2 years, $30 million. He instead took 1 year, $6 million with incentives to get to 9. No security, just for what? Oh yeah, he wants a ring.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I hate to bring up the Bengal game. He looks like Tyreek over there.
Who does?
Bengals players said MVS is looking like Tyreek over there. I know you
Oh,
heard that.
MBS.
I missed that. Was that on the?
Oh, bro,
field
go watch
audio?
the mic'd up. Stop the show.
Oh,
Go
I'm
watch
gonna
the
have to
mic'd
go
up.
watch that mic'd up now. Good lord, they did not say that out loud.
I swear.
It wasn't Burnt Apple Crisp, was it? That said that out loud.
Mhm. It might have been 58. Is that Osai?
That's Osai.
Yeah, that's Osai.
He said
Yeesh.
he's using them like Tyreek over there. Y'all didn't hear that? Are y'all serious?
I don't think I heard that one.
Look, man, there's been a lot of content come out from the last 10 days that I've been trying to keep up with and consume.
Missed
I
that
missed
one.
that one.
Yeah.
Wow. No. Phew.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start with that one.
Yeah, I don't. That's.
I really.
I
like
wouldn't
what
go that
PS
far
did
for
that
sure.
game, but
And I'm paraphrasing, but that's
Sure.
really close to the direct quote. They're
Okay.
using him like Tyreek over there. Hey, Scout.
Yeah,
Scout.
Scout's here, guys.
I don't know that I would go. Are they talking because he ran that goofy orbit motion that looked funky as all hell when he ran?
Yeah,
it?
it did look like Tyreek, didn't it?
No, it's not. Those are not.
Yeah, I think obviously the wide receivers all year have kind of been up and down.
He did run wasp, and several people didn't know what to call it. He ran that post corner route, and they hit it on that deep ball.
Maybe that's what they were talking about.
Well, and I think it says more about Mahomes because he's been able to spread the ball around and adjust. So,
I just find it funny that they compared MVS in that game to what they did with Tyreek last year, which, I mean, I guess sort of, but not really, and it definitely doesn't look the same.
Yeah, not at all. But yeah, go ahead, Country.
Tyreek had 187 yards. Who was the next closest receiver?
I already closed it out. Hold on. The last time they played.
Because apparently Travis did that, and he had 4 for 23.
No, nobody else was big that game. He was the only one over 100.
Because they did.
I think they got up and they just started running. Byron Pringle had 2 for 23. Kelsey had 23. Williams, McColl, 16 each. Clyde had 12. Jody had 2. They only passed the ball 24 times compared to 30.
We need to talk about the Jody Fortson redemption game. That's what we need to be talking about.
Jody Fortson caught a lot of. How many did he catch a touchdown? That was his last touchdown before he got hurt, right?
No, that was last year.
I think he caught a touchdown in the red zone.
That might have been the start of the streak.
I want to say he did.
Yeah, might have been. I will say our defense got carved up by their receivers. 7 for
different defense.
6 for 60, 6
totally different secondary.
A lot of different guys in the secondary there.
2 words, Tom. 2 words. Mike Hughes.
Yeah. Anyways, let's to wrap this whole Super Bowl preview up.
You haven't even got to the game yet. Hey, okay.
Country, what have you been talking about for the last 53 minutes?
I don't know, but here's something that I've heard from more than one Eagles fan, and this is what's gonna hurt them. Well, we knocked Brock Purdy out the game. I've heard this brought up multiple times by multiple different people. I think, and this is foolish to even think, I think they're banking on we knock Mahomes out the game. That's a very dangerous because.
Yeah, I can say I highly doubt the actual.
You're gonna bank on knocking them out with the "you gotta hit me" guy.
Yeah,
I highly doubt the actual Eagles players have anywhere close to that kind of mindset. That's a very
we're
fan.
We're definitely
that's
talking
a very
fans.
That's a
we're
very
definitely talking
fan mindset. Pretty ridiculous to think, and even
I've heard
still
that point,
to think
I've
that
heard that point multiple times.
Hey man, there's gonna be plenty of vitamin T in Arizona. I tell y'all boys that right now.
I mean, Pat did get knocked out versus the Jaguars, and he still came back and won the game. So
And
it's, I mean,
Chad Henne went 98 for a tutty.
exactly. It's not like you got an easy road, Chad Henne. That's, I mean, hey, Eagles fans, they have to cling to
They have a
something.
better chance against Chad Henne, duh. But that's not
Yeah.
saying.
Hey, listen, they have to
do
hope
this
for
year.
something. You know, they have to hope that Patrick Mahomes
Hey
doesn't
man,
carve
it's
them up
Philly.
for
If that's
dear
the
life.
meanest thing they say all week, we'll take it.
But I say, and that is the thing I think we should say positively about Eagles and the Eagles fan base is that all
On a
respects.
respect level.
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
between the teams.
Completely different than Cincinnati, where we have total respect for the Eagles in Philadelphia. And honestly, it's like whoever wins, it's gonna obviously it would suck, but whoever
we'll win.
wins,
We don't need to be giving out pre-injury
well,
happy
yeah,
flowers for other
whoever
people.
wins is obviously is gonna be the Chiefs. I was gonna say, do we want to do score predictions this episode? Do we want to?
I mean, might as well.
You,
Might as well.
you know I don't do scores, man.
He doesn't. Do that. You know this.
I know Country
I'll
doesn't
give
do
you guys.
scores.
It's the Super Bowl, right?
It's the Super Bowl. We gotta do some super
Listen,
predictions.
I've picked some pretty bad ones. I'm just going all in, right? And even if I'm wrong, I'm gonna predict for me and Country Chiefs by 100. Let's go.
Okay.
Hmm.
Country cosign.
I want to go. I want to go Mahomes over 300. I want to go Travis 2 touchdowns. I want to go Mahomes like 4 to 5 touchdowns. I think that it's going to be a tight game. I think they pull away in the fourth when Philadelphia is forced to be one dimensional and you can't run the ball to catch up.
I'm gonna need Mahomes to throw at least 14 touchdowns to get to that 100-point
I
mark.
was gonna say Tom's gonna need a couple more than 4 or 5 for that Hyundai.
I was being realistic. Tom is.
I think Country's on the track there with the game's going to be fairly close for a majority of it. Look, man, we didn't even talk about it really, but Andy Reid's off a bye here, and I know it's not a traditional bye, but they treat it like a bye.
Boom.
And that dude is absolutely lethal off the bye.
Nails.
He's also absolutely lethal in games against opponents and organizations he's familiar with and has ties to. In almost every facet, he has destroyed most of those teams. Now, this Eagle team is legit. This roster is deep. They have guys everywhere.
Yeah.
I just am not 100% sure that 75 to 80% of Jalen Hurts' shoulder can do enough to win this game. And it's not a knock. It's just it's the way it works in this time of year. Both quarterbacks are not 100% and won't be. It just is. Nobody playing in this game will be. So it's tough. I think you're going over on the total. That 50. I think 50 is the over under right now for the game total. I'm probably in that 31-20, probably similar score to the Niners game type deal. 31-20, 34-23.
Crazy if it's
like
the same
that.
score.
Something in that vicinity. I just like kind of Country said. I think it's probably closer, one touchdown into the third quarter, and then second touchdown or a quick transition off of the coin flip at halftime if it goes the way the Chiefs like to have things go for that. Those extra possessions, they go on those runs like Golden State, and you're all of a sudden you're up 3 and down 14 in 4 minutes, and you don't know what happened. So it's a problem. I don't know that the Eagles can solve the problem with running the football unless they prove it early and get out ahead.
I know Gary got to do his prediction, but I got one more point I'm gonna bring up. Gary, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna say I like the trains of thought here. I think, like I kind of said earlier, I just don't expect it to be a perfect game. I feel like there's gonna be some hiccups, but I will say it just feels different this year. You know, it's a lot different than 2019 where it was kind of expected, right? Everyone expected the Chiefs to go all the way back after losing the AFC Championship. We expected to win the Super Bowl. It was good. 2020, it was just a weird injury, crazy game, a complete anomaly, really, if you think about it. And so this year, it's just an entirely different feeling, not only on the offensive side, but the defense is just so much better than we've ever seen in Kansas City in the Patrick Mahomes era, and they're taking it upon themselves to get the job done. Like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have had a great season, have played some okay games against some okay opponents, but they haven't seen this defense. I think this is
Or this quarterback.
yeah. Well, that's a whole different animal in itself. But obviously, I think the defense kind of carried us in the Bengals game, and you know,
Con.
it's kind of might be an understatement. We're gonna. It might be a
Again.
live and die by the defense game. The offense is gonna obviously not falter, but defense is gonna be the one that really I think wins this game for the Chiefs. I'm gonna go 27-20 Chiefs by 7.
You need under, you cantankerous hater.
Exactly. I just think it's gonna be one of those games. It's gonna be a slow grind. Both teams are gonna have a defensive battle, but Patrick Mahomes inevitably will get it done because he is Patrick Mahomes, and he will probably win his second MVP award this Thursday night is the NFL honors. So
I don't
that's
know
pretty
that
cool.
probably needs to be used in that sentence anymore, but
That is
he's
just
won
pretty cool to
every
think
other
about.
he's won every other MVP I've seen voted on, whether that was Fox, whether that was PFF, whether that was the All Pro one, whatever, all of the different ones except the one that we need to see done has had him at the top by a landslide.
Yeah,
So-
but it's gonna be a cool moment to see that.
So over the week, and I know you guys aren't the talking heads guys, and I don't know exactly who brought this point up, but it was said that Pat Mahomes has only played one good quarter in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Is
no,
there
I'm
any?
good. Did
you
you
guys-
watch the Bucs game at
I
all?
do not think that. Yeah,
If you
the
watch
entire
it,
Bucks
Did you
game
put
was
any
actually.
credence on
the
that?
first
Okay,
or second
wait
or
a
third
minute, Carl. Wait a minute, Carl, because I know you're gonna get that
To wrap
train
this up
rolling.
here, to wrap up this great episode here.
He
Kyle.
did though. He did. He did have a couple of turnovers versus San Francisco. The Tampa Bay game. I mean, throw that out there. There was
He
It
played
was
4 quarters on
was
a
good.
turf toe with no offensive line, running around like a chicken with his head cut off, hitting wide receivers in the face 50 yards downfield, horizontal to the ground or parallel to the ground.
I tell you what,
I'm good on that
I don't-
analysis. From whichever Colin Cowherd or Skip Bayless or insert Bart Scott's face here,
I
whichever
think
one.
it was an ESPN guy though.
Whichever one of the
I'm not for sure.
talking, I drew the short straw on the show,
Dane
or that's just
Orlovsky.
my whole MO. No, we're good. The only, no,
I
I'll wrap with this, and then Garrett can get us out once Tom's done.
No, Tom,
Watch
go
5-5.
with your point.
If you can take a prop bet, take 5-5 to get at least 1 sack.
I'm going. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just
Go
going to
ahead,
say
Tom.
I don't know how to answer that. I need to go ask PFF how to feel. I'll let you know once I know what they say, because PFF does my thinking for me. Go ahead, Garrett. Take us out of here.
I
Thank
ain't
you
even
all.
get to my.
Do it, country.
I
What
ain't
do we
even
got?
talk about that one guy I want to talk about
Oh
today.
no,
but
we
okay.
ain't got. Actually, you know what? We don't even have to talk about that guy. It's positivity week. Listen,
Yeah.
it
Chiefs
is
by
Super
100,
Bowl
country.
week.
Chiefs by 100.
Chiefs by
That's my
100.
mentality.
Listen, thank you all so much for tuning in for us this entire season. This has been a awesome ride this entire year leading up to this point. Obviously, we've got a couple more episodes coming your way before the big game on Sunday, but Chiefs Kingdom, enjoy it. We're really, if you think about it, we're living in the golden years of Chiefs football. Like, this is something that we're not going to see very much of, 10, 15, 20 years from now after it's all said and done. So we got to appreciate it, and yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. So be sure to follow us on all of our socials at Kingdom Says Pod. Go to our YouTube channel. Check us out there. We got a lot of great content coming at the Kingdom Says. It's going to be a good one, folks. And obviously after the season, we got Tom's draft talk. Tom, you didn't mention the draft.
A lot busier for Tom, and you're
Tom didn't mention the
I
draft one
did my
time,
very
so
best, guys. My
we have to
very
applaud
best.
him there. So thank you all so much for
Can I
listening.
do my plugs? Can I do my
Yes,
plugs?
of course. Our
No,
wonderful guest,
Nobody
Country
follow.
boy.
Do not follow country. I'm just kidding.
No, don't follow me, please.
But at least go follow the podcast. Don't follow country.
Follow the podcast page at Kingdom Kast, KingdomKast.com, Kingdom Kast on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, all those social media sites and streaming sites. To quote a famous man, there is no tomorrow, Rock. There is no tomorrow.
Country boy with some wise words to get us out of here. We appreciate
Rocky 3 over Rocky 4.
That's actually kind of facts. But country, we appreciate you joining us all these times, hanging out with us.
You know I love y'all, man.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. You're one of the
I'd
boys,
save you
so
for
we
this one.
appreciate
We've
you.
been waiting on
Look
this
at
one.
Tom's beard. How could you not love that?
Look at that beautiful,
After all the
beautiful red
noise.
beard.
It's only-
Exactly.
Listen, country, you got a good beard too, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Yours looks. I look homeless. You look like you can afford a barber.
You look like Santa Claus.
Well,
So-
neither of yours beards can compete with Kyle's hair, so
It looks good, but it's very dry.
How's
yeah,
my beard?
Kyle's hair
can hook
takes
you
the
up with
cake
some
of everything.
oil. I got you.
My
I got you.
my
I'll
beard,
send you
y'all.
some
How's
links.
my beard?
Send me some activator.
I have a lion's mane. It's a new it's the new fashion trend. Tell Travis.
All right, y'all.
Some beard wash that will change the game for you. I promise.
We'll figure that out.
Thank you
later.
all listening and watching. We will
We
see you later this week. Check us
We should
out.
have did Rocky quotes all through the episode. Like we should have said, "Mick, we got more to do, Mick. We got
We're gonna
more
have
to
to.
do." Okay, no.
We're out of here.